Something that I've talked about a lot in a lot of these videos is the structure of guiding. This structure is, I think, the most foundational for any kind of storytelling, any kind of guiding, and I think it can be hopefully very useful for you, the guides. What this structure is context, connection, and the main focus. What we're going to do with the context is that we're going to get everybody to be on the same page. So it's going to bring everybody to know the same basic things, which will impact the stuff later on. So obviously we all know where we're trying to get to with the main focus. So let's use the example of the flamingos. The flamingos and fun facts about them are the main focus. Everybody knows that. You can already see the flamingos from the beginning of the tour, but we want to lay down this structure so that everything we talk about makes sense and has somewhere that it fits into. So what we're going to start with is the context of where we are, wide as you can get. You're going to bring everybody in. Okay, we are Lake Natron in the middle of the Rift Valley. There's a volcano here. Now we're going to connect that towards the flamingos. The volcano erupts a very special kind of lava called carbonatite. It has this very alkaline salt that it produces. That alkaline stuff gets into the water and makes the water very toxic. So that's sort of connecting the landscape, the geology, this kind of stuff, connecting it to the main focus, that's the flamingos. Because, okay, it makes the water very alkaline, it makes it very toxic, and it makes it very hard to live in. And we keep connecting little bits, like tying in the toxicity of the water to what can survive there. The algae that can survive there, and tying that into, oh, flamingos can eat that algae. Flamingos can survive in that toxic water. So we're connecting the landscape to the flamingos. We're connecting the bigger picture, getting everybody to understand why this spot is so special. Bringing everybody together onto the same page, connecting it to that main focus that everybody is very excited about, and then going from there. And with the main focus, we can talk about, okay, the flamingos have this cool supraorbital gland. They have this salt gland in their head that releases salt from their blood through their nose. Super cool thing, in my opinion. And you wouldn't be able to understand why that's important without first knowing that this lake is salty. And then where that salt comes from is the geology around here. So laying down this foundation of all these structural things, the connection and all this, can really, I think, help contextualize, and I think it can really help get all the guests to really understand what's going on. Yeah, so hopefully this structure, context, connection, and main focus can really help you remember how to present on a tour. So I think what this can also do is it can remind you of what to talk about, especially when you have those kind of boring guests who don't ask many questions, but are still maybe curious, but they don't really get that excitement out of you. So how can we have this structure set up so that we can remember, okay, first thing I talk about is going to be the landscape. And then, okay, I want to talk about flamingos because it's a flamingo tour. Oh yeah, this is the connection step. So how do you connect the landscape to the flamingos? So I think having this structure can help remind you, can help bring out these bits, because you won't need to be prompted by the guests, because sometimes those guests aren't very much fun. And sure, you get really fun guests, ignore the structure, but I think even with those fun guests, they ask you a good question about how do flamingos get rid of salt when they're in a salty lake. You can step back a bit and be like, hey, wait a minute, why is it salty here? Why does this adaptation matter? And then you can get to that foundation a little bit and sort of expand your guiding. And instead of just talking about immediately the answer, you can explain why that answer is special. I think it's just a fun way to maybe add a little bit of pizzazz to your tour, and hopefully it can be useful for you too.